I've been messing around with systems and apps pretty much my entire life. I was hooked on computer programming in my teens. I did a degree in computing and systems analysis and design in the end of the late 90s. And so when I started my first business in 2002, it's no surprise that I documented everything I did and created systems for doing everything. The problem was the amount of time I was investing in doing that was totally disproportionate to the amount of time it was actually saving me, because at the end of the day, it was just me doing the work. There was arguably some value in making sure I was doing things consistently, and definitely creating templates and things to be reused was definitely of use. But the problem was that because I was the only person in the business, it didn't make sense to create, incredible guides that anybody could follow, because it was only me doing it. This is kind of the same problem I see so many of our clients or people I speak to when I'm doing strategy calls. They're stuck in this mindset of you've got to document everything before you hire somebody. Now, the problem with that approach is, as I found myself, you end up totally overwhelmed because you're just doing too much yourself. You're wasting time actually documenting stuff that only you are doing. And there's no time left to do the really important stuff. So one of the things I try to get people to understand is there's a time and a place to create systems. Yes, they're important, but only if you do it right, so it doesn't take you away from doing the stuff you should be doing. And that is what I want to talk about today. Okay, so as I mentioned in the intro, I've been creating systems most of my adult life, and I absolutely love them, which is why I do what I do. One of the challenges that I faced was that without someone to delegate work to, it meant that I was doing absolutely everything. And that time taken to create systems and document stuff was actually just taking me away from doing the things that I should be doing to make money and make the business a success. People get stuck in this loop, though. They either avoid systems altogether because it's just something they haven't got time to do, or they create systems thinking they need stuff in place before they hire an assistant. Now, the irony is that if they had an assistant first, they'd have time to create the systems to make the work with the assistant better. But you've got to get this right. You've got to get the order right in order for it to actually make sense. So, one of the big take homes I've had from my early years in business, and when I came back into business after my medical degree, I approached this differently, and I had an assistant straight out the gate. Now, I'm not going to say that went perfectly. And had I had a massively systemized business at the beginning, would it have gone better? Yeah, of course it would. But by hiring that assistant and offloading some tasks to them, it gave me the time and headspace to start thinking about, well, how can I work with this person better? It also gave the opportunity to learn how to work with someone remotely and delegate work and figure out things like task management apps and then working on from there. But that time it saved, that carved out of my busy schedule, was so essential to me be able to sort of see what is it I should be actually creating systems around. And the big win of this is once you've got an assistant in place, it means that they can actually do the time consuming part of systems creation for you. They can do the documentation. They can actually record videos of what they're already doing. They can create flowcharts or whatever fancy stuff that you want to get into. They can set up automations. Look out for and research good AI apps that would actually help your business. Once you've got someone in place, it doesn't need to be you doing all of it. And this is just as relevant if you are a solopreneur or if you've already got a team in place. So many of our clients come to me and they've got a team and they're wanting to get everything out of people's heads and get it down in a way that means they're removing their reliance on key people to protect their business. So, when people leave or go on holiday or whatever, then the work doesn't all fall back onto themselves as the business owner. And so that's what systems do. They give you that ability to do that. But the problem is that it's very likely, that your current team and you are really busy, because most businesses have far too much work to do for the number of people in it, especially when you're growing. There's people wearing lots of different hats and spinning lots of plates and all those other analogies. But what the result of that is, there's no time left to actually really think about, well, how do I document this effectively? How do I make something that can work without the person, the knowledgeable worker, yourself, or the key members of staff? How can this be handed over to somebody else? So somebody new to the business with minimal training can take that over and run with it, freeing up time for the key people to actually do more high value work. And the problem being that if you leave it to the high value people, the key workers, the people that are already doing the work, and say to them, hey, go away and document everything you do. That's just getting in the way of their day-to-day role. They'll push back on it because they've got too much work already. And now you're saying to them, on top of what I've already asked you to do, I want you to put time aside every day to document everything you're doing. If, however, you have an assistant specifically hired to help you with the documentation and the systemization and the automations and all that stuff, it means you're not asking something that's unrealistic from your existing team. You're then able to ask them to just, quickly record a video to show what they're doing, so someone else can go and do the documentation for you. Or they can say, look, I think there's a better way to do this. I think we could automate this. Maybe I could get some help off the assistant to see if this is actually reality, do some testing, just try out some ideas and see if we can actually get some traction on this. And maybe then it would be worth actually then moving this from a real manual task to a more automated or AI-driven task. And that's the key. That once you hire somebody specifically to help you in the early stages, just do some work, take some pressure off, give you some headspace. But in the latter stage, when you've already started building a team, you hire that person to focus on optimizing your business, on creating efficiency, on documenting everything you do to protect your business and elevate your existing team so they can delegate down to new entry-level people and get high work done consistently. When you've got someone set aside just to do that, that is when the magic happens. And that is when you see real traction in creating systems and in removing yourself from the day to day. And not just you, but your key members of staff as well. It gives them the headspace to be able to think, to be able to do better work, to be able to actually think, how could I improve what I'm doing? How can we make some efficiencies here? Because typically, and my business is just the same as everybody else's, typically the people that are working in it are really busy. So my team right now, I've just had a conversation this morning, which was what made me think of recording this podcast now, is that my team are super busy we're doing lots of work at the moment around on our nurturing funnels and our content repurposing and trying to actually get that really, really slick and really professional and adding loads of value to everyone at every stage. And I was sort of saying to them, look, I just want, like over the weekend, I was playing around and looking at some apps on AppSumo or something similar. And I was looking at some cool AI apps that we can use to help in our video production for our YouTube and then for doing our short clips and how we can actually utilize AI to speed up that process. And I was saying to the team, like, why is this left on me sometimes to think of these efficiency savings? Like, couldn't you guys just put some time and do this? And the pushback was really simple. It's like, Steve, we could and we'd love to, but we don't have the time to do it. And that was the alarm bell that went off in my head. And this has gone off many times over the past as we've been growing our team, is now is the time for me to hire an assistant to take the pressure off that team in order for them to have the time and headspace to do the high value work of things like figuring out how to make something super more efficient by utilizing all the cool apps, technology, AI, or whatever else is going on, or just about think about, how could this be done differently and think about what else they should be doing. So this is one of those moments in my business where I think, right, now is the time to hire. And you've got to look out for these key moments. Is if you feel like things are getting stuck, they're static, they're not moving forward or progressing, is probably an indicator that your team is overtasked and they haven't got the headspace or the time or the energy to actually start looking into their work in more detail and sort of taking that 10,000 foot view and saying, look, is what I'm doing right now what I should be doing? Could this be done differently? Could it be refined, or as we call it in the 6-step process, could it be sharpened? Is there a way to eliminate it entirely, to automate it? Is there a way to streamline it? Or is there a way to just figure out a better way of doing it? So that's it. My big take home for today is that hire an assistant as early as possible. If you're a solopreneur, that means getting somebody that you can hand over work to, record a quick video, send it over to them, and just get started. Once they've actually got the hang of something, they can create systems for you, and therefore you don't ever have to put the time and effort into doing it. Now, if you've already got a team and you've already got people doing stuff for you, then great. Hire an assistant to support not only you, but them in this process. The more work you can get systemized, the less it costs you to get it done. Because once something's systemized, you don't need a knowledgeable, expensive worker to be able to do that work. And those knowledgeable, expensive people you've got, you can elevate them to do higher value work because you can delegate down all the stuff you've created systems for. The return on investment of doing this, of hiring an entry-level assistant to help you with your systems, is massive, but it's often a bit of a lag before you see the benefits, because you've got to free people's time up to be able to actually then focus on high value work and then actually reap those rewards. And therefore, there's a bit of a lag. So just trust in this to get the most out of your existing team, to increase the profits in your business. You've actually got that outlay to be able to free up those people in order for them to do all the efficiency and cool stuff that we've just talked about. So that's it. A big ask for you today, please, if you found this episode helpful, whatever channel you're on, whether it's on YouTube or on our blog or on your favorite podcast app, just share this with one of your friends and colleagues you think that might benefit from listening to this. When you share great content with people, it makes them like you more. It makes them think, it passes over that goodwill onto them, or they have goodwill towards you, or however you say that. And so do that for me today. Share this with one of your friends or colleagues you think may benefit from this. Help me spread the word to help more people to create more systemized businesses, to enable them to free themselves up, to have more time to do what they love to do each day. And that's it. Cool. Have a fantastic day. Thank you for listening. Bye.